Okay, so I wanted to do a rebuttal video for the Two Bats video where they talk about Arena of the Planeswalkers, which color is the strongest in the core set. Now, let's get a few things out of the way first of all. Make sure you go check out our thoughts on Arena of the Planeswalkers, the board game, at thenerdmentality.com, the Unicorn the Dozer podcast. Make sure you go check that out. And second of all, don't try to start anything. No drama between us and Two Bats Gaming. We've had them on our podcast before. I consider them friends. They're fantastic human beings, and they're some of our favorite humans. If they lived anywhere near where we lived, I get the feeling we would hang out with them all the time. So Rachel and Forrest are some of our favorites. We like these people. We hope we can hang out with these humans sometime in the near future. We've talked about, even if for no other reason than to play Arena of the Planeswalkers for a weekend. It's a lot of fun. But in their video, let's just say that I was not a fan of how Forrest broke it down into what colors were the most powerful in just the core set. So, a few other disclaimers out of the way real quick. Now, I will agree, and I've got notes at the bottom, so forgive me if my eyes keep shooting to the bottom. So I will agree that there's no definitive answer as to which color is the strongest. It all depends on the player, the tactical mindset, experience level, and the game type, which I think is something Forrest left out. You know, the game type matters, whether it's capture the flag, whether it's deathmatch, king of the hill, whatever type you're playing. And I'm a numbers guy. Okay. I love baseball. I love college football. These are two sports that are almost solely based on statistics, and numbers just do not lie. Okay. So, and I'm trying to respect as closely as I can the parameters that Two Bats laid out in their video. I'm just going to give you what color is the best in my opinion, with kind of what they had as parameters. But maybe I've added a few things that they either forgot about or didn't mention or whatever. That's not to say that they're right and I'm wrong, or vice versa. I'm just giving you a different perspective because I completely disagree. And that's what this is. This is fun. It's supposed to be about a free exchange of ideas, and we love that stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into what are the best colors in the core set of Arena of the Planeswalkers. And FYI, I would love to have the time and the equipment to put together a video like they do. Unfortunately, I just don't. And yeah, it is what it is, but I had to put this video. I had to. Okay. So anyway, number 5 is blue. I believe that was number 2 on their set in their video. Jace can be a powerhouse, and that's about it. The illusionary projections are pushovers. The spells in the blue deck almost require... Can the blue be powerful? Absolutely. They could possibly be the most powerful color in the entire game, period. But they require almost like a PhD in tactics and mindset. And this, it's just... Unless you are General Norman Schwarzkopf, it's very clunky. And in my experience, blue is usually the first to go. Just my opinion. I mean, I have a military background, and I can see why some people first would say that blue is so powerful, but most people don't have that mindset. And Jace's Mind Stealer ability is great, but you have to roll a 16 out of 20 or 16 out of a 20-sided die for it to be effective. That's 1 in 4 odds. I don't want to see that at the poker table. I don't want to see that on a battlefield, and I don't want to see that on Arena of the Planeswalkers. Okay. Number 4 is white. And this almost has everything to do with Gideon, and who is the Thanos of this game, in my opinion. and his counter-strike ability, the counter-strike, it's so much more devastating than it appears to be, and allow me to explain. Before buffs, Gideon gets 5 defense die. The only other character or squad in the core set that has that many attack die before buffs or spells is Jace at 5. So the numbers game heavily favor Gideon in every defense role. He's almost always going to have more defense die than his opponent has attack die, and that's before any spell cards are played. In my experience, Gideon deals damage with Counter-Strike more than 50% of the time. Okay, and that's where the magic ends, though. The white spells can be helpful. None of them are overpowering. The white squads are a joke. The core Hookmasters have okay stats, but their detainability, it's a one-and-done situation. It's kind of like the Battle of Blackwater Bay. You know, the imp has played his trick. He can play it no more. That's the core Hookmasters. It can be useful, but only once. The Rocks veterans they're friggin' useless. I'm sorry. Unless they stay connected as a formation, they can be devastating. But that's the only way they're effective at all. And in a game where terrain is included in your battlefield, the Rocks veterans just aren't that effective, especially on multiple terrain levels. Third on our list is green. And I almost agree 100% with everything that Forrest said in his video regarding the greens characters, planeswalkers, and spells. I said almost. Okay, the Pummel Roots are much more effective as a fighting force than the Rocks veterans. Let me explain. I'm going to give you a quick example. During the Revolutionary War, the Brits versus the Americans, everybody's in formation, muskets, reload while the next team reloads, and everybody's in formation. The Americans won the Revolutionary War almost solely because they chose to use guerrilla tactics. When the settlers first came, they turned to Native Americans to survive, and they got screwed. The Native Americans. I'm not trying to get political here. Okay. During the Revolutionary War, Americans turned to Indians, Native Americans for guerrilla tactics, and that was arguably the single turning point in the war, was not to just march in formation and boom, reload, boom, reload. So guerrilla tactics really helped. Anyway, you can do that with Pummel Roots. You cannot do that with Rocks veterans. And the big difference is that Rocks veterans have to be in formation to have the same numbers as Pummel Roots. Let me give you an example. Look at it this way. If you combine all the stats, life, movement, range, attack, and defense, the Rocks veterans have a score of 14, Pummel Roots have a score of 16, and they aren't limited by staying in that formation to take advantage of any bonuses. I also agree 100% with Forrest that you need to take full advantage of this game. To take full advantage of this game, you have to have extra terrain, whether it's homemade, purchasing more core sets, expansions, or finding HeroScape terrain on eBay. But with added terrain comes more movement costs. And just like in baseball or college football, speed kills. Speed is the ultimate killer when it comes to this game. Before buffs or spells alone, the Elf Rangers can move up to 8 spaces per turn, while Nissa, the green planeswalker, she can move up to 10 spaces per turn. This is ridiculous, okay? You can add this with the crazy range, and they can snipe you all day long. In Two Bat's own video, they admit that before adding terrain, they agreed to not take any of Team Green because whoever did was almost assured victory. Now, this doesn't change because of terrain or elevation. If anything, it only makes things better for Team Green. It's just basic strategy. If you can get to higher ground faster than your opponent in real life, as it is in AoTP, you have a decisive advantage, especially in this game. Which leads me to the number 2 team on our list, Team Red. Chandra is stupidly overpowered in combination with red spell cards. The Phoenixes, they can be pretty useless. until you add terrain. Having a flying team where terrain isn't a concern and the rebirth ability is crazy strong. And the Firecats have average stats when compared to the rest of the core set squads, except they have the highest move count in the game among squad creatures. But again, I'm all about numbers. Numbers don't lie. Let's go back to the numbers. In one turn, Chandra can use her ability Superheated for 1 point of damage. Then she can summon the Firecats which can use haste for an additional possible, depending on dice roll, 6 points of damage. Now we're up to 7. And the Firecats can also deal an additional 3 damage with Intense Strike. That is a possible 17. Wait, let me make sure I'm doing my math right here. 1, 6 is 7. 3 is 10. Oh, shit. Hold on, wait a minute. Okay, so I had to redo a little math here, but let's go back to the numbers. Okay, in one turn, Chandra can use her Superheated ability for 1 point of damage. That's the start. Then she can summon the Firecats, which use haste, for an additional 6 damage. Now we're up to 7. And Firecats can also do an additional 3 damage with Intense Strike. That's a possible of 10 points of damage to a single target at range, 5 spaces, in one turn without the assistance of the Phoenixes. And this is probably by far the most damage you can do in a single turn without spells or enchantments in the core set at range. And the reason why I know this is because the reason I know this and why I have Team Red at number 2 is because my sister-in-law, shout out to Brandy, happy birthday. She's never played a role-playing game in her life. She's never played anything like Battletech, Mech Warrior. Probably the most strategic game she's ever played in her life is Connect 4. And that's not to knock her. She just doesn't have experience. She takes Chandra and the red team, and she's won multiple games against experienced players like myself and my brother, and not really had a whole lot of issues. When you combine the red spell cards that can do moderate damage to, damage with minimal point cost, it's all about the numbers. Finally, last but not least, I do completely agree with the good folks at Two Bats Gaming that Team Black is the most powerful in the game, not only in the core set, but the entire franchise. Liliana, the zombies, those spell cards, speed and range, it's not even close. And it only gets worse in the expansions when you add Sorin of the Eternal Thirst, the Ghoul Vanguard, Obnixilis, who has the most stupid, ridiculous, powerful attack. But that's for the expansions. Black, by far and away, is easily the most powerful in the core set and in the entire franchise. So that's it. Please feel free to disagree with myself or Forrest or anyone else. Don't try to stir up any shit. This was just a rebuttal video. I'm not saying Two Bats video is wrong. I'm not saying that I'm right or my core group of friends is wrong or right. I'm just saying we probably had different experiences, and it's really up to you to depend on what, excuse me. It's up to you to determine which color is the most powerful in the game. I hope the folks at Two Bats will include us in their discussion when it comes to the expansions. I think that would be a lot of fun. Forrest and Rachel, much love. Make sure you go check them out on YouTube and on Twitter at Two Bats Gaming, also on Instagram. You can also check us out on all social media platforms except YouTube. We don't have a YouTube channel. But you can check us out on the nerdmentality.com, the Unicorn and the Dozer podcast, the nerdmentality.com family podcast. This has been a lot of fun. I would love to get into it more with you, and I wish I had time to make a better looking video, a prettier video, but I hope this will suffice. And let's keep this discussion going. Let's keep this game alive. It's such a fun game, and it's It's so much fun. It's really inexpensive, and with just a few extra dollars on eBay, you could turn this into an expansive, massive universe, and even do like my group of friends and gamers have done. We've turned it almost into a D&D style game. It's so much fun, and I would love to hear your feedback on this, guys. Let us know in the comments.